Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Mary and today we have to talk about women's rights. And more importantly, women's wrongs. That's right, today we are talking about the newest 5-star character, Harmony Quantum Miss Sparkle. And you know, after watching her trailers, I feel like there's really a conversation that could be had here about the division of self, the loss of your identity, maybe even losing your sanity, but none of that matters because today it's really about losing your 50-50. The important things that she is going to do for your DPS and ways in which she is going to buff them is through increasing crit damage, increasing attack for quantum characters, overall increasing damage for her allies, and lastly, she is going to regen up to 4 skill points with her ultimate. Her technique is a support type of technique. It's going to grant misdirect to allies for 20 seconds, and essentially allies will not be detected by enemies during this duration, and 3 skill points will be regenerated at the start of the battle. And you may be thinking, don't we start with 3? Are we not like overcapping? No, because as long as Miss Sparkle is on the field, you have a supplementary 2 slots for skill points, which is really great, and this is part of her talent. First off, her basic attack is going to deal a certain percentage of her attack to the enemy. As we've mentioned, her talent is going to give us 2 extra spaces for skill points, but also every time we use a skill point, all allies' damage will be boosted by a certain percentage. So if we're playing the Gacha game within the Gacha game with Miss Qingchui over here, and we spend our skill points here, as you can see, I have 3 stacks of red herring. This is a damage boost from using skill points. And now her skill, which is going to increase crit damage for the target, but it's also going to advance their action by 50%. The crit damage increase is a certain percentage of Sparkle's crit damage and a fixed percentage. At level 10, it's 45% minimum that she will be giving to Miss Qingchui over here, and a certain percentage of her own crit damage. So we're going to want to give her a lot of crit damage to get more crit damage. I'm gonna have a stroke if I keep saying this word. Her action advance ability is also a 50% action advance, so this is important to note because it's not like Bronya's. Bronya's in comparison is a 100% action advanced, meaning your target ally is going to act immediately. However, here, because it's 50% of the target's speed, 50% of the target's current placement on the chain of events. The faster your target, the higher they will be placed in the order of action. And finally, her ultimate is going to recover 4 skill points for us, so you want to make sure that you have space for those. And also it's going to grant allies Cypher. When an ally has Cypher, the damage increase from the talent, this is when you use skill points, is going to be increased by a certain percentage. So for example, I have red herring 3 stacks, but now instead of 15%, it is 42.7% because it is increased by having Cypher. Her first bonus ability is that when she uses her basic attack, she will regenerate an additional 10 energy. Her second bonus ability makes her crit damage boost last until the start of the target's next turn. So this is important because this is going to guide you in how to time your ultimates, how to make sure that you get the crit damage boost. For example, here I'm going to boost Qingchui, and right now she has her crit damage boosted. I'm going to gamble all my skill points away, and it's it brought me something good. Now I'm going to hit. I'm not going to do a lot of damage because this is Qingchui. So now her turn is over, and if we look, she still has the crit damage increase. So if I were to use her ultimate here, she would benefit from the crit damage boost. However, her turn is coming up, and as you can see, when her turn begins, she is going to lose the crit damage buff. It's gone, and now we cry. But this is actually quite practical because if you don't unlock this bonus ability, what's going to happen is at the end of the turn, the crit damage boost is going to expire, and any follow-up attack or ultimate that is used in between the current and next turn is just not going to benefit from the crit damage boost. So once you've unlocked this ability, just make sure that your follow-up attacks and your ultimates are timed correctly to have the crit damage boost. The last bonus ability is a very important one. This is where she increases attack for everyone, and specifically she will increase more attack for quantum allies. Everyone's attack will be increased by 15%, and if you have 1, 2, or 3 quantum type allies in your roster, their attack is going to increase respectively by 5, 15, and 30%. Here, as we can see, we have 3 quantum people on our team, and Sparkle does count as 1, so you only need 3, you don't need a mono quantum team. And here, Nocturne is the attack increase. For a non-quantum ally, it's going to be an attack increase of 15%, and for all quantum allies, it's going to be 45% because this is the base 15 plus the 30 for being quantum. This means that she is good, but she is really good in a quantum team. And I'm going to mention it now before I forget. When it comes to Scylla and her second turn type of mechanic, where she gets another turn after killing an enemy, the crit damage boost will transfer to that turn because it's not a real turn. And the boost will not be over after this. So she's going to get her regular turn where she's boosted if Sparkle has boosted her. If she kills an enemy during her current turn, she will get her second turn, but it's again not counted as a real turn. And then once that second turn is over, she will still have the crit damage boost. At the start of her next real turn, she will lose it. So if you have her ultimate, use it in that time frame. In terms of priorities for her abilities, I think her skill comes first because this is where the crit damage boost is, and this is honestly one of the biggest things about this character. Afterwards, we're going to go for her talent and her ultimate. They both have a very similar value. I would say for every 1 level you give her talent, give 1 to her ultimate afterwards. We really do not care about her basic attack. Ideally, you're going to be using her skill like clockwork to constantly keep your DPS boosted, so we do not care. I'm going to do things a little bit differently than I normally do. I'm going to go right into the early game options for you. If this is why you're here, it's done. If this is not why you're here, you can sit back, relax, or maybe judge my advice and give better advice in the comments. Here, I'm assuming that you're early in the game, therefore, I'm assuming you don't have her signature Lightcone, but if you do, obviously use it. However, otherwise, if your DPS is fast, you're going to want to use Past and Future, and if your DPS is slow, you're going to want Dance, Dance, Dance. This is because if you have a fast DPS, you're going to be able to guarantee that the next turn will indeed be your DPS when using her action advanced ability, and thus this will actually matter. However, if you have a slow DPS, your ally target is not always going to be the one acting next, so this is going to be a better option for advancing everyone when you use her ultimate. For 3-star options, we're going to go for Chorus for an attack enhance, or we're going to go for Meshing Cogs for extra energy. For Relics, you're going to go for Thief of Shooting Meteor, frankly, because we don't have a better option. For planner ornaments, we have to choose between Space Sailing Station and Fleet of the Ageless. We're going to go with the second one for the attack increase for everyone, because we are going to put a speed boot on her, and she's going to be faster than 120. Body is going to be crit damage, boots are going to be speed as we've mentioned. Your sphere, you can go for HP, you can go for quantum, you can go for defense. We don't care about her personal damage, so quantum, HP is going to help keep her alive, but really what you're gonna do here, you're gonna go for whatever has the highest crit damage substat. For the rope, we're going to want energy regen rate, and if you can't get that, go with, again, whatever has the highest crit damage substat. Let's now talk about good light cones for her. First of all, obviously, Earthly Escapade is going to be good for her. It's her signature. It increases crit damage and it gives Mask at the start of the battle, and it's going to last for 3 turns. Mask is going to increase crit rate and crit damage, so this is really nice. If you don't have Fushuan and you don't plan on pulling for her, this can be a great alternative to her crit rate boost, which is something that I care about a lot. The other 5-star light cone that I really like for her is But the Battle Isn't Over. First of all, for the energy regen rate, which means a little bit more ultimates, a little bit more skill point regen, and when using your ultimate, you will regenerate an additional skill point every 2 uses of your ultimate, so that's great, that's why she's here. And this has a similar buff to Past and Future, where the next ally taking action will have their damage boosted. Past Self and Mirror is a no. Hope that helps. If you have a quantum DPS, Planetary Rendezvous will be great for boosting damage of users of the same type, so quantum. As I've mentioned before, Past and Future is great if you're buffing a fast DPS because they are likely to be the next ally taking action. Oddly enough, Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds, good option here. I don't like recommending the pay to win options, but here it's good if you're going to give it to anyone. Maybe give it to Sparkle, especially if you don't have the other 2 that I mentioned. It's either going to increase attack, crit damage, or energy regen rate, so all of these cases are great. Lastly, if you don't have any of this, Dance, Dance, Dance is going to be good. Memories of the Past and Dreamville Adventure, we're going to avoid those 2. I don't understand who Dreamville Adventure is meant for, so that's that. In terms of relics, we are going to go with Messenger Traversing Hackerspace because we love ourselves and we want good things for ourselves. Increases speed, which is great for her, and increases speed for everyone when using ultimate. Great for her. I don't know if this is something that traversed your mind. Genius of Brilliant Stars, you're not gonna do that. If you're not very much in touch with the meta and you were like, oh, Genius of Brilliant Stars, I heard that it's good for quantum characters, not here. This does not apply. In terms of planner ornaments, this is going to vary a little bit depending on what team you are using with her, but for a quantum team, we're going to go with the biggest lie in existence, which is Penacony, Land of the Dreams. Energy regen rate, which we love, and increases damage by 10% for all allies of the same type. If you are not running a quantum team, another option we have is Celestial Differentiator. This is going to increase crit damage, and the other buff is not that useful for her, so really only use this if you don't have enough crit damage, but I feel like you should. The other one I like is Fleet of the Ageless. It's going to increase her HP, which makes her live more, but her speed will reach higher than 120, so attack will be increased for everyone by 8%. Stan. Sprightly Von Whack is another option, and it's really rare that I mention it because I'm like, who's gonna use this? Energy regenerate 5%, which is great. This is like Penacony Land of the Lies. Her speed will be higher than 120 again, and this is going to advance her forward by 40% upon entering battle. And this is good because you get to immediately choose who's going to go next by using her skill. The last option, I'm kind of just bringing it up because otherwise I'll feel like I missed something. Broken Keel increases crit damage by 10% if your effect res is 30% or higher. If you end up having a bunch of relics that roll into effect res, you could use Broken Keel, but I feel like it's not going to be the best. So overall, my favorite ones would be Penacony Land of the Grief for your quantum team and Sprightly Von Whack for kind of everything else. I have 3 options to present to you today for different types of teams, but they all have some things in common, so I'm just going to go ahead and say them. First of all, you are going to use Messenger Traversing Hackerspace for your relics, and the stats that we are looking for your body you want crit damage, for your shoes you want speed, for your sphere, it could be HP or quantum or defense. We don't care about her personal damage, but HP and defense can help her stay alive. Whichever one of those has the highest crit damage substat. And for your rope, energy regenerate. Talking about substats, we are looking out for crit damage, speed, maybe HP and effect res if it comes down to that choice. It's gonna help her stay alive. Love that. And now, option 1. Option number 1 is going to be running a quantum team. For her light cone, her signature obviously is going to be the best one. Afterwards, we have The Battle Isn't Over. Next, we have Planetary Rendezvous. If you have it on high superimposition, this can be really good because same type allies. And lastly, past and future. I feel like if you have a quantum team, you might be using Sela. I think you should be using Sela. And she's very fast, so past and future is going to be great for her because she more often than not will be the next person to follow if Sparkle boosts her. If you have Joye and Qingchui and you want to use past and future, just make sure that they're fast. For planet ornaments, here we are going to want Penacony Land of the Dreams for energy regenerate, but also boosting same type allies. If you're running a quantum team, kind of make sure your DPS scales off of attack. Every quantum DPS as of right now scales off of attack, but who knows what they'll do in the future. I'm saying this because her bonus ability specifically increases attack for quantum type allies. Next, you want to make sure you have a team with 3 quantum characters, so you're gonna have Sparkle, your DPS, and the third person can be Fushuen, Lynx, or Silver Wolf. Next, we are moving on to the team with Imbibitor Lune, which I think is gonna be a great team with her. Unfortunately, I don't have him. I was saving for Acheron. I'm doing it for Acheron. Okay, what can I say? He is a very skill point intensive character, so they're going to make a great team. So if your main DPS is Imbibitor Lune in this team, obviously still her signature is the best, and still Battle Isn't Over is the second best bet. However, you're going to go for either Dance 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 or Carve Moon Weave the Clouds. If you have Fastibitor Lune, you can use Past and Future, but he's not known to be particularly fast to my knowledge, so Dance 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 is going to be a great option to bring everyone up in the turn order when using her ultimate, which is something you'll be doing a lot, hopefully, for skill points. And lastly, Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds, great option here as well for all the reasons previously mentioned. If an energy regenerate 4-star light cone ever comes out, it would be really good here. For plan ornaments, you can go for Celestial Differentiator for crit damage, you can go for Fleet of the Ageless for attack boost, or you can go for Sprightly Von Whack for more energy regenerate. At this point, the next thing you're worrying about here is just crit damage. And speed? Obviously, but crit damage. The other thing you're going to want to do is timing your ultimate and your skill with Dan Heng Imbibitor Lune's turn to max out on your point usage in one go, while you have the crit damage boost. And last, our final option is what to do if you're using any other DPS. When Sparkle's kit was announced, the first 2 things that came to mind for me was Monoquantum and Imbibitor Lune, but she will be great with a lot of other DPS characters. We've said this many times by now, but for her light cone, signature is going to be the best. Battle Isn't Over is the second one. Past and future, you can use it if your DPS is fast. If not, use Dance Dance Dance, and if you have it, Carve Moon Weave Clouds is going to be great as well. For plan ornaments, we're gonna go for either Celestial Differentiator, Fleet of the Ageless, or Sprightly Von Whack once again. If you don't need the skill point regen from her ultimate as much for the DPS that you're choosing here, Sprightly Von Whack is not as good of an option. For anyone who is not a quantum DPS or a skill point black hole, her main use is going to be crit damage, which is already a lot. She insanely boosts crit damage. For a character like Argenti or Jing Yuan, where you basically use their skill a lot to build up to a really big attack, you're going to really want to time your big attack moment with with Sparkle's crit damage boost. For Argenty, you want to make sure you keep his ultimate for a moment where he is crit damage boosted. For Jingyuan, as best as you can, you want to use Sparkle's skill on him before the Lightning Lord's follow-up attack. For a more follow-up attack type character like Ratio, Topaz, or Clara, since the crit damage buff is going to last until the start of the next turn, you want to cram as many follow-up attacks as you humanly can in between those two turns. This also means keeping your ultimates that are going to trigger more follow-up attacks for that little time frame here. And lastly, characters like Blade or Jingliu, who are not big skill point users, she's still going to be very practical for crit damage. I don't know what to tell you. Everyone who's not included in the category of building up to a big attack, follow-up attack, or not really using skill points, again, crit damage. And now for her best teams. Obviously, we have everyone's wet dream Mono Quantum. Fuxuan, Silverwolf, Scylla, Sparkle. You could replace Silverwolf with Lynx, but Silverwolf is really great here because she is what makes this team work against anything. Silverwolf can implement a weakness, and that weakness will be chosen based on who's on the team, and wouldn't you know, there's only Quantum. So she will implement Quantum, and then Scylla can swoop in and do big PP damage, and Sparkle can buff the big PP damage, and everyone's happy. You could change your DPS from Scylla to Qingchui or Shuiyi, and this would still work. But the other version of this team is like Quantum, not Mono, Stereo Quantum, yeah, where you can use this slot here to either have another buffer or a healer. Personally, I think Ranmei is a really great choice because of her resistance penetration, because she will increase damage, because she will increase weakness break efficiency. For all of these reasons, she's just really a great unit. But if you want to increase your crit damage even further, then Bronya can be a great pick as well. Something really fun you can do is just ping pong between Bronya and Sparkle until everyone's ult is maxed out, and then you just... and it's really intense. This is Imbibitor Lune. Thank you. The next team here is for Imbibitor Lune, so we're going to have a preservation character, we can have a sustainer or a buffer, and finally the guy himself, and Sparkle. For your sustainer or buffer, I recommend you use someone who is not heavy on skill point usage, such as Ranmei, who is very skill point positive, Locha, who is a very skill point positive healer because he can heal without using a skill point, or even Hanya, who can regenerate an additional skill point if needed. Next, another team that I personally really enjoy is this team over here. Fuxuan, Silverwolf, Sparkle, Ratio. Ratio, quite easy to build character, honestly. We all have him, he's a great DPS. Honestly, once you have enough attack on him, you give him a speed boot, you give him enough crit rate, you give him good crit damage, he's going to raise his own crit rate and crit damage. Very great. The only thing he could be better at is having even more crit damage, and Sparkle can do that for us. The only thing with Ratio is you need a debuffer with him, so here I put Silverwolf, but it could be Gwenaifen, could be Welt, could be Pela. I've done a video on him if that interests you, but this is a team that I personally like as well. And finally, the very general team, you have a preservation, you have a sustainer, you have your DPS, and you have Sparkle. Here I put Locha, but it could be a sustainer, it could be a buffer, it could be a debuffer, or it could be a sub DPS maybe even. I kind of don't recommend this sub DPS thing here, just because Sparkle is really going to buff one person at a time, and you kind of really want to put the accent on them for the best value, but you could do that if you wanted to. So yeah, here you can kind of mix and match. We've been over this last time, but DOT does not crit, so DOT characters do not benefit from Sparkle, and you would be better off with a different DPS. Should you pull for her Lightcone or her E1? This is literally always the same thing. You should pull for her Lightcone. Her Lightcone just has more things that it does for you. Increasing crit rate is insane, really. E1 is good. Cypher will last for one more turn, and Cypher will increase attack by 40%, so that's great. And if you don't plan on running a Quantum team, her E1 is going to be really great for enhancing attack for everyone, not just Quantum allies, so that's great. But her Lightcone increases crit rate by 10%. Like, that gives you so many more options. If I was making this call, I would pull for the Lightcone. Overall, she's a really fun character. If you have a Mono Quantum team that you really like to use, or Imbibitor Lune, I really recommend her to you. Personally, I'm going to be saving for Acheron, but I think I will definitely be catching her on a rerun eventually. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was entertaining and helpful. Subscribe for more if you want to. And with that said, VyRen out.